Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie, and I believe that the right book at the right time can change lives, and that all readers should read children's literature, especially adults. So that's what we do here on the KidLit Love podcast. We celebrate all things children's literature: picture books, early readers, middle grade, and young adult novels for readers of all ages. In each episode, we'll talk with children's literature authors and discuss their books, their hopes, their dreams for readers, their writing process, and much, much more. Whether you're an adult reading to their inner child or connecting the young readers in your life with fantastic books, you've come to the right place. So grab a notebook to build your TBR, and let's get to today's episode of KidLit Love. Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the KidLit Love podcast. I'm Stephanie Affinito, your KidLit loving host, inviting you back to another bookish conversation with a children's literature author. Today, I'm talking with Jeff Gottesfeld and Matt Tavares. They are the author-illustrator duo behind the moving picture book 21 Steps, Guarding the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. They're here today to celebrate their newest release, Honor Flight, a companion book to 21 Steps that honors military veterans and the program that keeps their contributions alive. I can't wait to talk to both of them about this important and moving and meaningful book. So let's get right to the episode. Jeff, Matt, welcome to KidLit Love. I am thrilled to have both of you here today to talk about your book.
Happy to be
For
here.
having us.
Of course. Now, before we get into Honor Flight, the wonderful book we're here to talk about today, I do love to start with introductions. So I'd love to hear just a bit from both of you. You both have a beautiful backlist of books that you could share, but give us a little bit about your journey through children's literature.
Well, for me, I still feel a little bit like a kidlit picture book rookie. My first one was only in 2016, so I consider myself early career at this. Before that, I did a wide variety of writing. I wrote teen fiction. I was the associate head writer of a soap opera on CBS. I wrote a movie that got made by Paramount. I've done some stage writing. So, but the picture book thing, this still feels new to me.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you're really good at it for being new to it, Jeff. How about you, Matt?
Yeah, so I've been making books since I was in college. My first picture book I wrote and illustrated as my senior thesis in college, and that was back in 1997. So pretty much my whole adult life, this is what I've been doing. And now Honor Flight is my 27th book that I've illustrated. Of my books, I wrote 13 of them, so pretty much half and half. I'll write my own stories and then sometimes illustrate stories that my publisher sends me, like this one. But yeah, so I've pretty much done one book a year for the past 27 years.
Wow, that is quite the feat.
Yeah,
We're grateful though.
time flies.
Yeah.
So this book, Honor Flight, I mentioned the previous book, your first collaboration that came before it, 21 Steps. How did the two of you get paired together for that book that now continues into Honor Flight?
I don't know. I'm the luckiest writer in America. So 21 Steps. Yeah, I'm not a military person. I'm a really imperfect messenger for this kind of stuff. But I got the idea to do it. I was in the Los Angeles National Cemetery on Memorial Day in 2016. Saw a couple of headstones there that had the word unknown on them. Flashed back to my boyhood trip to the tomb of the unknown soldier. I was 13, 14 years old and realized how little I knew about that tomb and about the tomb guards. And by the time I got home, I was determined to write this book.
Yeah.
Candlewick wisely and happily saw the wisdom of that story. And then Matt, how'd you come to this? I mean, I'm so lucky.
Yeah, I mean, on my end, when I illustrate something written by someone else, usually what happens is the publisher, they'll have, like Jeff had already written it, Candlewick liked it, and then part of what they do is try to find an illustrator who's a good fit for that manuscript. So yeah, they sent it to me, and pretty much when I am sent a story, I need to decide, like, is this something I can see myself spending a year working on? And
Right.
sometimes I'll read something and it just doesn't grab me for one reason or another. But this one, I mean, I was pretty much in tears reading it the first time, so it was kind of a no-brainer that I wanted to do it. And just like Jeff, I have no military background, and really, it's not a book I ever would have thought to make on my own, which is something I like about collaborating. I end up making a book that I never would have ever made by myself.
Yeah. I think though that those are some of the best picture books, or really the best books in general, of when, as a reader, you can tell when an author just goes in deep and loves the topic and is interested in
Hmm.
the topic and is curious about the topic. It's like there's something that lights up in the author's brain when they write it that I swear just jumps off the page and lights up in the reader. And so it's that spark, right? That spark is so important. And I feel like it just takes on its own life in the book in combination with, of course, the words and the images. And I will admit I needed Kleenex when I was reading
Oh yeah.
On Your
Yep.
Flight. Yeah, I got to mail call and I just lost it.
Yep.
And
You're
then
not alone. Yep.
Honor Flight was a natural outgrowth of my and Matt's experience, I think,
Yes, yes.
because
Tell us. Tell
here
us.
I am, here I am, Jeff from Teaneck, New Jersey, and then, I'm talking to military audiences, and I'm talking to the USO kids, and I'm talking to the Elizabeth Dole Wounded Warrior Foundation folks, and I'm talking to some aging veterans groups, and they're telling me about this honor flight program, which I didn't know anything about.
Yeah,
And honor flight's been around since 2005. Uh, that I would find my way to it at this point means nobody else is touching it.
yeah.
And it was just natural for me to do. And then I became a guardian on an honor flight. So I was actually able to write for a change from some firsthand experience. And Matt, I think you signed on to this before there was a manuscript, right?
Um, Honestly, I can't remember. I need to
I
look
think
back.
so.
I know, like, Katie had mentioned it to me,
Yeah.
and as you were kind of working on it with her, I think getting it to the point where it was ready to share. But yeah, it was pretty much, I knew how passionate Jeff is about this stuff, and how much of your heart you poured into 21 Steps. So I had a feeling it was going to be another good one,
Yeah,
as it is.
yeah. And Jeff, tell us a little bit about it. It's written in first person, which just goes straight to the reader's heart and gets us in the experience.
Yeah.
I would love for you
Yeah.
to talk a bit about that.
So the 30-second explanation of what the Honor Flight program is that it is a program which since 2005, and it started very small with like maybe a dozen vets and 6 private pilots, which brings vets from World War II, just a few, Korea, a handful more, Vietnam era mostly, flies them from wherever they are on completely paid flights to DC to see the monuments that they've never seen generally, and then to have the homecoming that they never got.
Yeah.
And since 2005, they've flown 300,000 vets. There's no government involvement in this, really. This is a volunteer program. Guardians like me and like Matt, we pay our way to be accompanying a vet. But for the vets, it's entirely volunteer.
Yeah.
And so the book is about a vet, and the illustrations are fantastic. I'll let Matt talk about why the vet looks like the vet that he is, who gets a call from Honor Flight and decides to go on a flight, and his experience with a chaperone who turns out to be a fourth grade teacher.
Yeah. Yeah, it's something I didn't know about either. It was a brand new thing. And then of course, once I read the book, I was on the internet. I was looking it up. I found the two the two local sites that are next to me where I could donate or where I could help. The premise behind the whole thing is just so moving and so important. And you both managed to capture that. And I know, Jeff, you just mentioned those pictures. Matt, it feels like I'm there. Like the pictures just spread across the whole first big page. It's just gorgeous. Tell us from your perspective how you go about bringing such an important story like this to life on the page.
Thank you. Yeah, the biggest thing for me was I just went to DC, and on the Honor Flight website you can find when the different groups are going to be there, roughly what their schedules are. So I just spent a day following a couple Honor Flight groups around. I wanted to really just be sort of a fly on the wall and not really interfere at all with what was happening. I actually had laryngitis that day, so I could barely talk to anybody anyway. But I would sort of just go along and observe and just tried to experience it in that way. And just doing that, it was such a cool experience, even not really being directly part of it, but just seeing all these veterans and the guardians and just the way they were received in each different location, the way they were, you know, everyone said thank you for your service and cheered for them and shook their hands. And so yeah, I took a whole bunch of reference photos. A lot of the illustrations were just directly from moments that I witnessed, using those as inspiration for
Mhm.
my pictures.
Yeah. I loved the emotion. Like you feel it. You just are literally living it. But as I said, when I got to mail call, I just fell apart to know
Hmm.
that in that scene, where you see the inside of that airplane and just so reverently holding that envelope full of gifts. I can only draw stick people, Matt, so I have no idea how you do this, but they're just gorgeous. They're gorgeous.
Thank you. I should mention too that my the model for my illustrations as the main character was my uncle Gil Rodriguez, who is a Vietnam War veteran. Um, and it's interesting. My whole life, I never really even knew that Gil was a Vietnam vet. Like he never talked about it. Um, and it was just a few summers ago when my dad was sick and in the hospital, and Gil was there a lot, and he started telling these stories. And it was actually after Honor Flight came out, because at the time I remember saying, "Oh, I don't have any. I didn't think I had any family members who had done that." But so when I was working on my sketches for this, I wanted to have a real Vietnam vet pose for me, and I felt like it would almost be uncomfortable asking someone I didn't know well to do this, because I know for a lot of veterans it's a personal thing, and I'm not a veteran myself. So, but yeah, I asked Gil to pose for me, and he like sort of would show him my sketch. He would act out the scene. He had never been on an honor flight, so he didn't even know what he was acting out a lot of the times. But uh, so he posed for me. It's a longer story now, I guess. But after the book was done, Gil, as it turns out, was on the waiting list to go on an honor flight. So he got the call. He invited me to be his guardian. So then we went on an honor flight. It was after my illustrations were done, which in some ways I was glad, because then I could just focus completely on being a guardian. The day was about him. I know Jeff went on an honor flight. I feel like as a writer, you can do that, and you can soak it all in, then write it down later. As the illustrator, for my research, I really needed to I needed to get reference photos. So I
Yeah.
didn't want to have to even think about that. But it was amazing. I got to experience the whole day as a guardian, spending it with my uncle. It was just something I'll never forget, and I know he'll never forget.
Wow. So you both
There's
played.
nothing like that experience,
It
Matt.
was
Yeah.
incredible. Yep.
There's nothing like that day. I mean, it's
Even
just
knowing, like
right.
having already spent this whole time making the book about it, experiencing that day was just
Right.
something just
It's
so
crazy.
special.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, as someone who hasn't experienced it, I do have to say I still felt that emotion, that oh my gosh, first of all, this exists. Second of all, the just the deservingness of this kind of recognition for the people that they are serving on this honor flight. I mentioned that when I got to the end after I dried my eyes with my Kleenex, I went right online. And
Sure.
I was like, I have to know about this. And I found the website and I read a bit. I typed in, so listeners, you can type in your state and then your county and then instantly get the locations that are close to you. There are two, one north of me, one south of me. Um, and there are ways that you can get involved, whether that's being a guardian or donating or any number of things. I'd love to hear what the two of you kind of hope for that or think maybe the book can generate in terms of people getting involved and just putting this important organization out there.
Well, my hope and my dream is that a year after this book comes out, 1,000 schools across America will raise the actually modest amount of money that it takes to sponsor a guardian for a trip and send either their school librarian or a teacher on a flight to have the experience. And then in those 1,000 schools, each of those schools, there'll be 100 letters written for mail call in, let's say, 3 classes. And then we'll have 100,000 letters from kids that we can distribute to vets on their homecoming flights. That would be beautiful.
That sounds good.
It would be beautiful. And if there's anybody that can rally that, it's educators and librarians. So that is a call that I imagine they will step up gladly to try to achieve.
Yeah, it's perfect because it also teaches
Mhm.
kids that like there's this thing called a letter that's written on paper with a pen. I'm just kidding.
Bring it, well, right now in the social media world, it's, bringing back the word analog. And it's like, oh, yes, my childhood, it's analog. These are things that are wonderful. Oh, Matt, how about you? When you think of this book going out into the world and launching it out there, what is your hope for the book or for the readers who get the chance to read it?
Yeah, that's really, I mean, that's, I think the best thing that could come of it. Just telling people about the Honor Flight Network that most people don't know about, even though it's, I think, over 300,000 veterans have taken part. It's still very small. Most people don't know about it. And yeah, just also, I think teaching kids just how, why this is important, why it's important to honor uh, veterans. I hope that comes up. And yeah, I think it's great that there are actual easy things that people can do to help honor flights, whether it's writing a letter or even like it's so cool when the group is leaving at the airport and there are people that like Boy Scout troops and classes and just families who want to come to the airport. If you can see on the website when the group is going to be leaving, and just the more the merrier. People can just come to the airport and you're just waving flags and cheering and there's a band. Like it's the coolest thing. It's just of all the things in the world that are like stressful and bad, this is just pure goodness where it's just joy and love and
Yeah.
yeah, I hope kids that read it think, "Oh, I want to go to the airport and send them off and cheer for the veterans." I think
Or
that would
or
be
be
a pretty
there or
cool
be
thing.
there for a homecoming, which was like the
Yeah, yeah.
greatest 40, it was the greatest 45 minutes of my life.
Yeah.
Right,
Just
like if you have an
watch.
airport that you can get to easily, you can just go to the airport, hang out for a half hour, cheer for the veterans, and
Yeah.
be a part of it.
Yeah.
No, and then, sort of on a deeper level, no, the vets, most of them who are involved now were Vietnam vets. That was an
Hmm.
unpopular war.
Mhm.
And for a big segment of our country. And we had a very, very hard time. I was a kid during it. Matt, you were probably just a gleam in someone's eye.
Yes.
And we had a very hard time balancing like unpopular war soldiers
Yeah.
obeying orders, doing duties, serving
Yeah.
in a war where I don't know, 40% of the country was deeply opposed. I think we know how to do that better now.
Mm,
We understand these men and women better now. So to be able to give them the homecomings that they merited
Yeah.
for their personal sacrifice and fidelity in their service, that's a remarkable thing.
Yeah.
that's something I heard so frequently during that day, during the honor flight day, just different people sharing their stories of how when they came home from Vietnam, they one man talked about how he got to the airport, went to the bathroom, into the bathroom, and just took off his uniform, changed out of it, threw away his whole duffel bag because he didn't want any evidence that he had even been there. And just to have this day now where part of the day, like I heard welcome home a lot. That was something that the new Honor Flight New England made that part of their when they would do mail call and hand out the envelopes, they would say welcome home, shake their hand. And I mean, it gets you like we were a mess, like because
Yeah.
it was so
Yeah.
meaningful to these guys. Like it was not, even though it's been 50 years, you could tell like this was really, really something that meant a lot to all of them.
Yeah. And it seems like any one of us could help in some way, whether
Hmm.
that's donation, whether that is being a guardian, is mail, it's showing up to the airport. I would never have thought that just little old me could have been involved in something like this. But by the time you're done reading this book, you can't help but want to go find out, which
Hmm.
is just a beautiful gift, that the book gives in addition to all of the other things. I'm so grateful you both came on to chat about it as you launch it into the world. I have no doubt that 1,000, I wrote it down, the 1,000 letters, the 100, the 3 classrooms,
Hmm.
that is a
Sounds
challenge I
great.
think that everyone will take up after reading this really important book. So thank you both for coming on. I'd love for you both just to let listeners know where they can find you online so they can keep track of you, maybe whatever is coming next. Where is the best place to find you both?
Me, it's easy. I mean, you can misspell my name any way you want. It's going to come up just fine. It's jeffgottesfeldwriter.com is my website. I did a lot of talking behind 21 Steps as I spoke at the outset. There's going to be a lot of talking about this book too. So come listen to me.
Yes.
Yeah, my website's just my name, mattavares.com. I am at Tavares Books on most social media sites, mostly like Instagram and Facebook. But yeah,
Okay. Well, I will put links to websites, social media handles right in the show notes. I, of course, will put a link to Honor Flight in those notes as well. And I know listeners, they're going to love it. They're going to honor the book with what it deserves. And thank you both for bringing this very special book into the world for us. It's just stunning.
thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, of course. And listeners, thank you for listening to another episode of KidLit Love, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the KidLit Love podcast. You'll find links to all of the books, resources, and ideas mentioned in the show notes and at alitlife.com. You'll also find KidLit Love on Substack. That's where you'll find posts for each episode, monthly KidLit roundups, and an invitation to join my summer book club and go deeper into the world of children's literature. And if you loved this podcast and want more, you might like to listen to my other podcast called Get Literate. It's a podcast that explores all things books and reading, notebooks and writing to build a life you love. One more thing. If you loved what you listened to today, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast, or take a screenshot of the episode and text it to a friend. This helps the podcast grow and builds our bookish community of Kid Lit Love. Thanks for listening.